Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network. And I'm recording a podcast today with Amelia, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself so we can learn a little bit more about her and why she's involved in motorsports. So, Amelia, I want to welcome you to the show. And why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, your family, whatever you want to share?
All right. Hi, I'm Amelia. I have a twin sister named Reagan. She's gonna be starting racing. Um, I have three step siblings. Um, and we started racing. I started racing around the age of 7, and it was just around my grandpa's backyard. Um, we raced. I raced my twin sister often, and we started with go karts and a 4-wheeler and like little motorcycles. We did this for 5 years, and that's where I learned like the racing procedures and where and when to pass. Um, so yeah, I raced at Arthur Raceway. Um, yeah, and I play basketball, which is pretty fun.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
where do you go to school?
I go to school at Highlander Way Middle School.
Okay, and so where do you live?
Live in Howell, Michigan.
Howell, Michigan. Yeah. And what's your last name, Amelia? Let people know what your last name is.
I'm Amelia Kohut.
Okay. All right. And who's your grandpa? Because I think a lot of people know him.
My grandpa is Bill Barr.
Okay. All right. So, Amelia, what grade are you in school?
I'm in 8th grade.
You're in eighth grade. So you've got 4 years after this year yet of school. So, and you started when you were 7. So you raced around your grandpa's backyard and your sister did. And then how did you transition? You were just thought you were outgrowing the backyard and you wanted to go to a real racetrack or what?
Well, my grandpa got us into racing, and he said that I had a natural talent for racing. So I also just really liked like go karts and I raced with the Fitzpatrick race team. They're
Hmm.
basically family to us.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I would beat my sister in our backyard, so we all wanted to step up.
Okay. So you stepped up and then she decided she didn't want to race for a while, but now she's going to get back into it, or how's that working?
So we initially tried to see for me first, and then we thought because she came to a couple of the races and she raced pretty well, like really well. So we thought let's give her a shot, and so now she's really excited to start.
Okay. So how long have you been racing at Arthur Raceway?
I just started last season.
Okay.
Only 1 year.
Okay. And so tell me how what is it that you race in? What kind of car? What kind of and then how did you do? Did you win any races?
I did not win any races, but I did finish second in points for season points. And I think I was third for just like the championship.
Okay. So for your first year, that's pretty darn good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And so tell me what is it that you race at Arthur Raceway?
I race a blue plate Predator go kart.
Okay. So you race go-karts. Okay. And so will you stay in that class now or will you move up?
I I am gonna be staying this race season
Okay.
at class.
All right. Sounds good. And then is it age? Is the class a certain age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it goes up to 15. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that you can race in that one, and then you got to go up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's your favorite thing about racing the go-kart?
I really like the people. You get a lot of support within the racing community. Um, and also just like with my being able to bond with my grandpa more, it's just more fun.
Yeah. That's pretty cool that grandpa's Grandpa's there. So what's your crew look like? I'm sure Grandpa's there, but what does he do to help, and who else is on board to help you with like keeping your cart going and then on race day?
Um, Basically the Fitzpatricks. We're with the Fitzpatrick race team, so they basically help out with everything.
Okay, so let's mention who they are. So um who would their what would their
Um,
names be so that we can share them?
you get Chris Fitzpatrick, Eric Fitzpatrick, Stacy Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
Frank Bouchard, um, Stephanie Fitzpatrick, Brandy Bouchard, Camille Fitzpatrick, Calvin Fitzpatrick, Sarah Bouchard. Um, there's a whole bunch more.
There is. That's a big and very successful team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they won quite a number of awards at the banquet that I was at. So
Yes.
we were at the Michigan Automobile Racing Fan Club banquet.
Yes.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. But and so yeah, that was very cool. So that night, did you win something there that night, Amelia?
Yes, I was there. So I got I think it was second. I got a plaque and I was very excited. I was very nervous to do the speech, but then I did it and I was like, it was fun.
Yeah. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to get. So, just like the podcast, this is your first one, but the more you do these, the easier it gets, and then you don't have any trouble. So this is a good starting place for you. So what would you say has been your biggest um challenge as far as racing? Is it who you race? What is it?
I think my biggest challenge is um just like to not get in my own head. I like to get in my head sometimes when racing, and then I kind of gets the best of me. Sometimes I'll overdrive, or sometimes like it just all depends, but mainly getting in my own head.
So when you say that, what more specifically do you mean? Is it you doubt yourself about what you're doing, or you're questioning if you were turning the corner right or the speed you're going? What is it exactly? A little
Um,
more specific.
I kind of just if I'm not feeling the track that day, or I don't feel like I'm driving correctly, then I just kind of get worried about like where I'm at and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. But you must overcome that to
yeah,
a large degree, because you wouldn't have gotten second in points if you didn't consistently finish pretty well during the season.
right.
Right. Yeah. So are there a lot of other girls that race against you, or is it mostly boys?
No, there's a lot of girls. I think last season we had only two boys in our class.
Hmm.
And I think that might say the same this year. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Okay. But there were a number of girls, weren't there?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the oddity. Most of the time, there's more boys than girls. So, what is it about either where you race or what you're racing in, or that? What do you think is the reason why this track has more girls than boys in that class?
Um, just like there might be more girls in the age class. Because I mean, there's also a lot of more boys in the lower classes, but
Okay.
I think in this age class, there's just
It just happens
more
that there's
girls.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's unusual. Like I said, usually the girls are outnumbered pretty much most of the time.
Yeah.
So, have you when you raced in the lower? Did you race in the lower classes, or is this the one? This is the one you started in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, so you're used to mostly racing against girls, which sometimes racing against another girl can be more competitive than a bunch of boys. What
Yeah.
would you say about that?
It definitely is. Because it's hard because you got to balance friendships in between it. So I kind of just look at it as, we got to go on this. We're going on the track. We got this. Let's go.
Yeah, because some girls and some people in general, it's not just girls, some people in general have a hard time losing. And especially if you're friends off the track, sometimes you're more competitive on the track.
Hmm.
And I understand what you're saying about trying to balance those friendships. That can be difficult. And honestly, sometimes girls don't get over things as easily as boys. A lot of times boys will just be like, okay, whatever, and they move on. But sometimes girls kind of hold on to that.
Yeah,
So that definitely is something that could be a challenge for sure.
most definitely.
Yeah. So do you have any marketing partners that you would want to share about?
Yes. So my sponsors are Virtual Fan and Kovacs Auto Repair. They were both returning from last year.
Okay. All right. So um, I'm not real familiar with Howell, Michigan, the Howell area, but I know in Kalamazoo, where I live, we have a lot of racers, and then that are all trying to get the same sponsors in many cases. Is that kind of how it is where you live too, or do you feel like no? Okay,
Not really.
not really. Okay, all right. So, what are you looking forward to the most this season?
Um, Probably just racing in general. We just recently picked up our car, so we're getting ready to keep building and working on that. I'm also really excited for that part.
Yeah. So, do you help work on the car then?
Yeah, this year we're gonna yeah, work on
Yeah.
it.
So what are some things that you're going to learn how to do? Have you got that figured out yet?
Work a stick shift. I've never ever
Okay.
stick shift.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a big one. My granddaughter, in fact, both of my granddaughters, I think the first night that they raced a different car that had a stick shift, they had never driven a stick shift until they got the car out on the track. And so that's quite a learning experience. I hope you get to practice before you get to the racetrack for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, how far is the speedway from where you live?
I think it's an hour and a half. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
All right. So, you have to travel a little bit to get there.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I like the car rides. I get to drive in the car with Gramps, so
Yeah. And
pretty
that's
fun.
when you have your good conversations, right?
Yes.
So, what have you learned from him about racing?
He's taught me everything. Um, because it would come from when we were in the backyard just racing around. Because I got my go kart first and then my sister did. So when we would just drive around the track, I would try to purposely spin out and he was always have a chuckle about it. But he taught me everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that, Amelia, if for some reason you never raced ever again, that is something very special that nobody can take away from you. And that's what I love about racing, for one thing, is the family connections, not just with your own family, but like you said, the Fitzpatricks are family. And I've gotten to know Eric a little better. Camille was one of my very first interviews in the magazine, and so I followed her for quite some time, for 4 or 5 years, and watched her grow and watched her win, and so that's a really good family to be connected to for sure. So what do you see? You're in eighth grade, you've got 4 years of high school. Where do you see yourself as far as racing goes, even the next 4 years, or when you get out of high school? What are your goals?
I definitely want to keep racing. I was just talking to my grandpa about it today. I was like, we'll find a job that I can keep racing. So,
Yeah. A lot of people do it. A lot of people work this job during the week and then they race on the weekend. So, that's not out of the question for sure. A lot of times when I talk to younger girls, I ask them what are their other interests. Now I know you said you play basketball, but what would be, if let's just say for some reason you had to quit driving the car, do you have any other interests as far as motorsports that you would look into being a part of it?
um, I mean, definitely, probably, I like dirt bikes, so I'd probably do that.
Okay.
But I don't know. Definitely would want to do something with that, or like, I don't know.
So that's something that I always encourage girls to think about because as you get older and the costs keep going up, sometimes driving, I've had younger girls or older girls who say, "Oh, I really wanted to keep driving, but the cost was prohibitive," or "I got hurt at some point and I can't drive," or whatever the reason might be, but they always seem to find some other avenue in motorsports to stay connected, whether they become a crew chief for a team or the flag person or whatever it might be, the social media person for the track. And so I always encourage girls to, yes, focus on your racing, take it as far as you can take it because that's your passion for sure. And then, but don't rule out other options because you just never know. And so um, I like sharing that with especially younger girls for sure. So your sister hasn't raced as much. Are you going to be the one that's kind of helping her along, or is Grandpa going to take that over?
Um, there will definitely be some um stepping stones. Uh, Grandpa's definitely gonna help her a lot. I know for sure that I'm gonna help her out. Um, yeah, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and will you race each other and are you gonna be you won't be in the same class? No, so that's good. Yeah. She'll be more in the like a beginner class or what
Yeah,
will she be racing?
yeah, she's gonna be racing in the rookie novice class, which is
Okay.
just the starting
Yeah.
for start.
Okay. Well, that's good because really you don't want to have to race against each other right off the bat. At some point, I'm sure you will,
Yeah.
but when my granddaughters raced quarter midgets, they started out they didn't race against each other, but then eventually it ended up right before they were moved on to different cars. They did race each other, and that was just not. I did not enjoy that watching my granddaughters race against each other. I'd rather they be in different classes. So now, then when they moved to bigger cars, they were in different classes, so they never did race against each other once they moved to big cars. So, um, yeah. So, being a young girl in motorsports, have you had, uh, you know, it's a man's sport, so they say, but if they knew all the women that I talked to, they might change their mind about that because it's becoming a woman's sport as well. Um, but have you had any areas where people were like, "Oh, you're a girl, you shouldn't be racing," or has everybody been pretty supportive?
Um, I haven't really. When I bring it up at school, like even when I talked about how I was coming on a podcast because I was excited. Even there was like guys who were like, "A podcast? What's it for?" And I would just explain to them, "Well, it's for my racing," and they like everybody shows interest. So I mean, everybody just seems to be supportive with the whole thing.
So let me ask you about the kids at school. So, is it a big school that you go to, or not really?
Yeah, I
It's a
would say.
big school. Okay. So a lot of times what I hear from girls who race because they're gone every weekend and they don't get to go to maybe they don't play softball in the summer with their friends or different kinds of things. And so they feel like they're maybe not as popular, not as active with their other friends. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're able to do everything you want to do, or do you have to sacrifice something to be driving on the weekends?
Um, Not really. I mean, I feel that I
Good.
can do things because I just do it if it fits my schedule. I mean, my schedule revolves around racing,
Yeah.
and I made sure for basketball even I was like, as long as it doesn't go to race season, then I'm playing.
Okay.
We even talked about softball and said well, if it's not on the weekend, then yeah, I should play. So.
Yeah. Okay, that's good because I it makes me sad really when I think that especially, it's younger girls cuz they're still in school. It makes me sad to think that they don't feel like they fit in because they drive a race car and they don't do those other things. And so I'm glad to hear that you're able to still do all of those things and still do your racing because I think that's important for you to be able to do all of those for sure. So, are you a role model or do you feel like you're a role model for anyone or younger kids that are starting in racing?
I want to say yes because I just had a girl text me the other day and was like, "Thank you for getting me into racing." Like her brother races,
Oh,
but she texted me and she was like, "I just want to say thank you for getting me into racing, because now I'm going to go get my car wrapped." And I was like, "Oh, no problem. Like, of course." Like, I just feel that I role model and try to get other people to do it because I mean it's fun.
that's really good. I'm glad to hear that because even at your young age, it sounds like you've got girls and probably some little boys too, if you really knew the truth, that look up to you. And especially when you've been successful, and they think, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And little girls see another girl that's maybe older that's having fun, being successful, doing all that. And so they see someone that looks like them. So then they think they can do it. And Amelia, that's what you're doing for kids that are younger than you. So that's great. Do you have anybody that would say would be your biggest fan?
My grandpa.
Your grandpa. I knew you were going to say that, but I
Yeah.
had to ask you for sure. So
Yeah.
what's something that you think you need to improve on this year over last year? Other than getting in your head,
Holding my line.
holding your line.
There was one race where was I held Camille's line and I held it and I was with her and I got second. And that was one of my happiest days because one of my sponsors was there too. So it just made it even better. And I was like, I held the line, I did it.
That's cool. That's cool. I like hearing that. Yeah. So, do your sponsors come to watch very often, or do you kind of have to invite them to get them to come out?
Um, so with Virtual Row Fan, though, they all live like down in Missouri. So
Okay.
there's times where yes, they will come up and Kovacs, we're gonna try to get them out again, or not again, but like get them out this season because we wanted to last season, but stuff had come up. But yeah,
Yeah. And if they live farther away, it's hard to do
yes.
that. So, if they live farther away, are they? How did you get them to be your sponsors? Their family, their friends? They saw
Um,
you somewhere. How did that work? Because that's unusual that your sponsors would be from away from where you are.
they are basically family friends.
Okay.
Um, they are part of trains, so my grandpa is big into trains too. So
Okay. All right. So when I hear you say that, something that everybody needs to think out about who needs to get a marketing partner, including myself. I'm working on doing that myself. We have to think outside the box, don't we? We have to we think in our heads, especially people that race. They think in their heads, well, I live in Kalamazoo, so I need Kalamazoo businesses on my car. That's really not true. There's people all over the place that would support you in your racing if they knew what you were doing. And the key to that is if you ask. Most people are not going to volunteer to give you money to race. Um, but if you ask, what's the worst that can happen? Is what my husband always says. Well, what's the worst that could happen? That they say no. But maybe they'll say yes, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So when you got your sponsors, did you talk to them, or did they kind of reach out to you?
Um, so with Kovacs Repair, um, I kind of brought it up to him. I was telling him all about my racing, and so we brought it up and was like, hey, would you want to be on the cart? We're willing. And so he agreed and wanted to sponsor.
Okay, good. Because you know what? It's harder for it's hard to turn down a kid when they're asking you for help. So learn that now and get comfortable with asking, because as you get older, and you become more of an adult, it's harder. People have an easier time turning an adult down than they do a kid. So now's the time for you, Amelia, to get those relationships built and those partnerships built, so that as you grow and as you get older, they stick with you for sure. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you some really fun questions, because we just want to get to know you a little bit better. So I don't want you to think hard. If you're not sure of an answer, just say I don't know, but I think you're gonna know the answer to all these. So here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
I like a good burger.
Oh yeah, me too. How about your favorite color?
Pink. I love
Pink.
pink.
Okay. Is your car pink?
We're doing a breast cancer cart this year.
Oh, good.
So, because for like family relations and stuff. So, very
Awesome.
excited.
I'm a cancer survivor, so I appreciate you doing that. That's great. How about favorite animal?
I love elephants.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Favorite place to go on vacation?
Oh, I don't know that one.
You don't know that one? Okay. How about your favorite candy?
I like Twix. Those are really good.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a favorite movie that if it's a cold, rainy day, you sit down, you pop that movie in?
Not really. I kind of just watch shows more than I watch movies.
Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite type of music?
I like a lot of older music just because I've been around it for so long, like with grandpa.
Okay. All right. How about your favorite professional race car driver?
Mm, I really like, okay, Haley Deegan.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I look up to
Good.
her.
Good. Good. I'm glad you do. That's good. What's your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Oh, I don't like Halloween. I don't know why. I think as a parent, it always rained and it was cold and windy, and I would spend a lot of time putting the costumes together or a lot of money buying them, and then you'd cover them up with a coat because it was raining and cold. I do not like Halloween still to this day, and I'm 67 years old. My favorite holiday, actually, I love Thanksgiving. I love the football. It's my favorite meal, and so that's my favorite. Do you have a favorite TV show or Netflix or something that you like?
Um, I've been really watching All American. It's like a football show.
I know what it
I
is. Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. What's your favorite thing to celebrate?
Probably my sister and I's birthday, just because I get to share that day with her. And
Yeah. Now, how do is that is that good that you get to share it, or do you ever wish you had your own day?
there are times that I wish I had my own day, but then again, come nighttime, and just telling each other that we love each other, it's kind of just nice to share a birthday.
Well, and you have a bond that a lot of kids don't have with their siblings. So that's pretty cool too, isn't it? Yeah. Do you have any lucky charms or traditions or anything that you do before you go out on the racetrack? Do you always do something the same? Do you have the
Yeah,
same food?
yeah. Gramps always starts up my go kart. We don't let nobody else really, unless we need help, starts it. Like there was one time my friend wanted to start it, and I was like, no, no, my grandpa got to start it.
Okay.
Super.
That's a good one. And how about a nickname? Do you have any kind of a nickname?
Um, I don't really think so.
Okay. All right. So is Grandpa sitting there with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So um, I've asked you a lot of questions. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that we need to make sure that people know about Amelia?
I don't think so.
No? That's pretty much everything that we're gonna let people see into your life, huh? So when do you start racing?
May 13th.
May 13th. So you've got 3 months basically. So you'll be working on your car, going to school. Are you still playing basketball? Is the season still going?
My basketball season's gonna end soon.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. So then you'll have time to be thinking about racing and getting your schedule together and all that. So is Arthur the only place that you go to race?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, Amelia, I've enjoyed talking to you. I know that I saw you get up on stage at the banquet and give your speech, and you did a really nice job. Um, it amazes me at some of the, especially the younger than you, littler kids. Some of them just were so cute with their speeches and that, and so that's a really good practice for you for down the future. So just want you to know you did a really nice job, and I appreciate your grandpa reaching out to me about you being on the podcast because I had you on my list to get a hold of. So that saved me that issue of trying to find you, and appreciate that you were on. Is there anything else that you would like to share, you'd like to say before we close out?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck the rest of the year in school. I'm not sure how far Arthur Speedway is away from me, but I have looked at their schedule and I have put that on my tentative, perhaps place to go watch a race this year. I'm trying to branch out a little bit in Michigan to get to some tracks I haven't been to before. So if that's the case, I'll be sure and let you know that I'm coming to watch and we can meet in person.
Thank you.
So yeah, you're welcome. So again, thank you for being on, and I appreciate that. And good luck this year. I hope you have a really good season. And to your sister.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and thank your grandpa for me. All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.